every time I read something about travel recently, it seems like planning a summer getaway has become more of a logistical nightmare. But I wanted to get a travel expert's opinion on all of this. We have Jeanenne Tornatore, the Outside Insider. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Great to be here. Great to see you.
So great to see you as well, too. I mean, I'm reading so much about, canceled flights, expensive gas, crowded theme parks. What's your take as far as like an insider look as what's going on with travel this summer?
It's a busy one. I mean, almost unprecedented. This is the summer when everyone's been waiting for so long that I think this is really the first summer since the pandemic when everyone's ready to get back out and travel, right? Last summer, I think, there were a lot of people but there was still some hesitation. And this is just a summer when everyone's like, I'm done, I'm going, let's plan it. And we saw that even in early spring that flights were getting more expensive, availability was getting really slim. And now that summer's here, I think the big question is, if I haven't planned anything, is it too late? Can I still do it? Or do I have to wait till after summer? I think it's going to be expensive if you're going to travel this summer. I mean, bottom line, airfares are through the roof right now. Gas prices, as we know, are really expensive. So you just kind of have to weigh if you really want to get away in the middle of summer and pay a little bit higher price, or if you want to wait till that kind of late summer when we start to get into the shoulder season. And does that make more sense for you?
Let's talk a little bit about, flights. I think we read around Memorial Day weekend, the thousands of flights were canceled, especially if you already have something planned for 4th of July and for Labor Day. What should you look as far as like maybe making a plan B? And if you're looking to get away on those weekends, do you suggest maybe waiting for the weekend after or the weekend before?
Yeah, so the flight issue largely centered around the fact that we have this pilot shortage, which isn't going away anytime soon. So I think a lot of people saw that story hit over Memorial Day weekend and thought, oh my gosh, is this going to affect my plans later in the summer? And the answer is, it's hard to know. We also always have a lot of summer thunderstorms and that kind of weather that creeps in during different times, just making it really unpredictable. I think if you already have flights planned and booked, the best thing you can do is really keep your eye on them and make sure that the schedule doesn't get changed. Because one thing that we are seeing due to this pilot shortage and just staff shortages in general is that a lot of airlines are pulling back on their capacity, meaning they have been proactively canceling flights even into late summer so that they can kind of manage this ahead of time and don't have to cancel things on the fly. So keep an eye on your flight. It could maybe not get canceled, but the time may be changed. You may be planning to depart in the afternoon. You may get your flight changed and leave in the early morning. So that's important to do, especially if you're traveling over those peak periods like July 4th.
I think when you think of, especially like for myself and my own planning purposes, is sometimes when you look at like a Florida or New York, there's a lot of options throughout the day. So you can leave anywhere from like 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. and pretty much you can pick the hour that you want to go. But I've seen those kind of decrease. Is the shortage going to keep, prices rising, throughout the summer? Or what are we thinking as far as like, if you do want to get away, to maybe one of those hot spots, when are we looking for, maybe a little price relief?
Well, even last week, we did see some airlines actually do an airfare sale. Their airfare sale was for flights later in the summer when we start to see demand drop. So if you haven't booked a flight yet and you're thinking, our price is going to go down, look for these smaller airfare sales that will be for flights in mid-July, through early September. So if you can jump on those now and take advantage of them, you may be able to get a good deal. You just have to kind of wait till the kids head back to school and demand drops in a lot of these popular hotspots.
And another popular thing was road trips. A lot of people would put $50 worth of gas in the car and, go to Starved Rock or go to St. Charles or, make a Midwest trip, Lake Geneva, but $50 is going to get you like a gallon and a half of gas. Let's talk a little bit about road trips. Are you seeing more of those or less of those, or is that still kind of an affordable option?
Well, I think a lot of people are still looking to road trips as an option because flight prices are so high and people still want to get away. I think what we're going to see more of are these kind of one tank trips. Where can I go very regionally and still have a great experience? And probably less of those RV trips. We're going to be going cross country to some national park. I mean, can you imagine filling up an RV right now and what that's going to cost you? Probably more than a plane ticket. So yeah, I think if you are thinking, look, I don't want to have to deal with, potential flight of cancellations and delays, but I want to go somewhere. Look at where you can go kind of within that 400 mile radius and get somewhere on one tank of gas. I mean, the benefit there is you can put your whole family in the car for that one price. But, no matter where you are in the country, there's great regional trips. So, that's a really great option. And then when you get somewhere, look for those hotels that have the free breakfast. I mean, we have seen that come back. That completely went away during the pandemic when everybody had to pull back on those types of amenities. But things like a free hot breakfast in a lot of these hotels is actually one of the most in-demand things right now this summer.
Oh, exactly. That's going to save you a lot of money, especially during that time if you're traveling with multiple family members. Let's talk a little bit about staycations. Are you seeing people kind of staying in their own city and doing activities that they normally wouldn't, do, or kind of bundling them up as far as that goes?
Yeah, I think there's always folks that are going to be doing the staycations. I mean, I kind of do them, with my family, create that summer bucket list. What are all the things that we want to do that we don't necessarily think about in our own hometown? I do think, however, most people are willing to pay a little bit more to get away for vacation this year. A lot of people waited the last couple of years and people are really willing to spend. We've even seen this term splurgecation kind of come into play this summer, where people they want all those amenities, all those things they haven't done. They're willing to splurge a little bit for it. But look, I always am saying staycation can be a really great option. There are usually a lot of new things happening, a lot of new events happening, especially if you live near a large metro area. And our U.S. cities can be really great values in the summer as well. These financial districts that tend to fill up with business travelers, those are your places you want to look to, especially if you're looking for a long weekend getaway. They offer great promotions over the weekends to get those leisure travelers in.
Amazing. Let's talk a little bit about theme parks. A lot of families choose theme parks as like their main, we want to go to, this theme park or that theme park over the summer, but everyone has the same idea. They might have staff shortages. It may be crowded because everyone has the same idea. Are we thinking maybe different times and trying to plan it during this summer?
Well, obviously, it's hard to wait till when demand drops when school starts. If you have a family, right, your kids are going to be the ones going back to school. But look, if you have the flexibility, maybe your kids aren't school age yet, wait until early to mid-August. That is when demand drops. That's when the crowds tend to go away a little bit in these big theme parks, especially places like Orlando. So, mid-August, even if you can wait until early to mid-September, that early fall timeframe, that's one of my favorite times of the year to travel, whether you're going to theme parks or even somewhere like Europe. We call it the shoulder season in the travel industry because you get that nice mild weather, kind of everything's still open that you want to do, but the crowds aren't there. There's a lot more availability, better prices on everything from flights to hotels. So waiting can be a great strategy this summer in particular.
I've seen a lot of my friends, you just mentioned Europe right now, heading to Rome, heading to Paris, heading to London. A lot of people are making those European trips they haven't been able to make the past couple of years. How are prices there? And, what's the experience like for people, traveling overseas?
Prices are really high to these international destinations right now over the peak summer season. Look, they're always high over the summer season. That's when everybody wants to go to places like Europe. So if you are thinking you want to do that bucket list trip to Europe, I advise waiting until September, maybe even October. It's a beautiful time of year to travel to Europe, and you won't have the crowds at all of the major attractions, and you might be able to afford an airline ticket there during that time. In the meantime, a lot of people are also looking to places like Canada and Mexico. And Mexico during the summer actually can be a really great value. It is more of their off season. So heading to Mexico could be a good option. And then these Canadian cities were closed for so long that they can be a really great option. And the cool thing about some of these Canadian cities like Montreal and Quebec City is they have that European flair. They have dual, language. They're French speaking. So if you kind of want that European ambiance, head up there.
Cruise ships. What's the latest on them, and as far as finding deals and being able to travel on there?
Yeah, cruising is back in a big way. I mean, we're already seeing cruise bookings for 2023, and we have been since earlier in the year. Summer is a great time for cruising, though, because the high season for cruising is usually January through spring break. So you will find in the summer some pretty great availability on a lot of the Caribbean and Mexico cruises in particular. So if you're looking for that quick 3 to 5 night getaway, look to the cruise industry. And also the great thing about cruising is there's so many home ports around the country. You're not just just looking at flying into Miami, you've got Port Canaveral, you've got Tampa, you've got Galveston, you've Long Beach on the West Coast. So regardless of where you are, you can find something that maybe you don't have to buy an airline ticket to, hop over to one of those cruise ports and find some pretty amazing deals.
And then final thing here, I know you mentioned the one tank trips and, trying to look around to staycations, especially some of the extra incentives that hotels may be having, but especially a tip, someone wants to, do something with their family before school starts. Where are we looking as far as deals and maybe a couple of suggestions as far as, still being able to get away this summer?
Yeah. Well, first I would say if you can go midweek, that's the best bet. A lot of these regional destinations, especially if you're hopping in the car, they get busy on the weekends. People go to some of these lake destinations, these coastal destinations for the weekends. So if you can go Monday through Thursday, that's where you're going to find a lot better prices and a lot better availability for lodging in these places. But look, I mean, I live in the Midwest. A lot of people from Chicago like to get over to Michigan or up into Wisconsin. There's so many beautiful places around the country. For Chicagoans, I love the West Coast of Michigan. I mean, you're talking all of these towns like Saugatuck, South Haven, Holland, Michigan. You kind of feel like you're on the Cape. They have this really great coastal feel with charming villages, lots of fun things to do, whether you're in the outdoors or, just walking around shopping in these places. So those are great picks, but you got to think about going midweek because they do book up on the weekends.
And one thing, I'll add in there is that, in my own travel research is that I'll go through some of these third-party searches just to see, as far as like, I've never been to this area, let me look at 10 different hotels. But if you book directly through the hotel, sometimes they want that extra incentive. So they're going to give you just as good of a price, if not better, if you try to book directly through them.
That's such a great point. And it is a tip that I usually always give is even if you don't plan on being a frequent traveler, sign up for the loyalty programs, whether it's airlines or particularly for hotels. Once you sign up for these loyalty programs, you're considered a member. So if you go on a site like Marriott Bonvoy, after you're signed up, when you are looking at your booking, you're going to see the regular price and the member price. And once you're a member, it doesn't cost you anything. You're just going to get that better deal. So it's always worth it to sign up for the loyalty programs. And in a lot of cases, you're going to get things like free Wi-Fi and free parking as benefits as well.
That is amazing. Jeanine, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.